Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today. And the Houston Texans take a tough loss in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 weeks in a row, the Texans play outstanding in a game they were expected to lose by multiple touchdowns. Last week, they did it against the Cowboys. This week, they do it against the Chiefs. And, just a bunch of mistakes that at the end of the game that ultimately ended up hurting the Houston Texans today as the Texans lose in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs 30-24. We had a chance. We fumbled it. Literally fumbled it. We fumbled this game in general too. We're gonna start with the scoring summary. I just disappointed for the way this team. I was very proud of the way the team played. In regulation, I thought, besides some bad defense, but, I don't think it's really your fault. You're playing Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. So I thought the 24 points in regulation, I thought the Texans did a great job dealing with the Chiefs' offense. I know that it didn't seem like it because they were getting a lot of yards on us, but at the same time, it's the Chiefs. So, yeah, let's go with the scoring summary. The Texans would get the first score in this one, scoring a touchdown. Davis Mills would throw a touchdown pass to, I like to call him TQ, Tegan Cortadano, 11-play, 80-yard drive, 7-0 Texans. Then the Chiefs' next drive, they would score a touchdown in 3 minutes and 30 seconds and tie the game at 7. But the Texans, their next drive, they would score on a 2-play, 17-yard drive. Davis Mills would run it in from 17 yards. Great. I was very impressed with what Davis Mills did on this play. Great run by Davis Mills. The Texans, they got the reason there was such a short drive. The Chiefs fumbled. Texans caused 2 fumbles today, so I was very impressed with our defense. We caused 2 turnovers on one of the best offenses in the NFL, one of the best teams in the NFL. The Texans would take the lead at 7-14. Now, next, the Chiefs would score a touchdown right before halftime with 14 seconds to go. Marquez Valdes-Scantling with a 4-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes, but Butker would miss the extra point. The Texans would retain the lead going into halftime, 14-13. Now, might have had the lead going into halftime, but the Chiefs would get it right back to start the second half. Mahomes would drive down the field, 10-play, 67-yard drive. Butker would make a 27-yard field goal to get the lead back. But the Texans, then in the third quarter, they would score a touchdown. Wonderful pass from Davis Mills, wonderful drive, 12-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Akins. Texans take the lead, 21-16. The Chiefs would come right back with a 9-play, 84-yard drive. Patrick Mahomes would run it from 5 yards, and then they'd go for 2 to try to get the 3-point lead. Patrick Mahomes would have a shovel pass to Jerick McKinnon for the 2-point conversion, and the Chiefs would take the lead 24-21. Davis Mills would lead an excellent long drive, 15-play, 65 yards. And Kamini Farrenbairn would knock in a 29-yard field goal to tie this game up at 24. The Chiefs would have a very long drive after that and set up for a 51-yard field goal with 14 seconds left. The kick would be up, no good. Texans took a knee, sent this one to overtime. First drive, Chiefs win the toss. Probably thinking, if you didn't watch the game, you're probably thinking, oh, yeah, Chiefs scored for a touchdown. Texans get the stop. They get a sack. Something they did a lot today was sack Patrick Mahomes. I was very impressed with that. They get the sack, get the 3 and out. Texans get the ball. I think it might have been the first or second play of our drive, but Davis Mills went for a run and fumbled. Now, if you watch the replay of the play, it looks like the Texans recovered after the ball popped out, but one of the Chiefs players, whoever recovered the fumble, was able to get the ball out of the Chiefs' hands, and then with 5 minutes to go in overtime, first play The Chiefs get it back. Jerick McKinnon runs it up from 26 yards, and the Chiefs win it 30-24. Passing leaders, Mahomes was 36 for 41 today with 336 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Davis Mills was 12 for 24 with 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought for 12 completions, I thought Mills had an excellent day. Now, I know there's a lot of incompletions for Davis Mills today, but when the passes he was completing, Davis Mills looked really good. Rushing leaders, Royce Freeman for the Texans had 11 carries, 51 yards. Pacheco for the Chiefs had 15 carries, 86 yards. Travis Kelce had 10 receptions, 105 yards. And Chris Moore had 4 receptions and 42 yards. Had a nice 35-yard catch as well. So solid game from Chris Moore. Let's get a little bit into the more farther stats. Jeff Driscoll was 2 for 4 with 8 passing yards. And, you know, he was more quiet for him today. The Chiefs, like I said, I told y'all guys, the Chiefs would find a way to figure it out. He only had 4 carries and 8 yards. But I liked how the Texans were, you know, well, actually, his longest gain was 9 yards. So I think it says 8 yards because there was a couple plays where, you know, he was stopped. But, yeah, I thought the Texans did a great job with trying to do that again. Yes, the Chiefs figured it out, but I thought the Texans were very aggressive with doing that again with the 2-quarterback scheme. Davis Mills, this might be the highest rushing yards he's had all season. Had 5 carries, 21 yards, and 1 touchdown. Had that 17-yard rushing touchdown. Texans had 94 rushing yards combined with 4 players, with Driscoll, Mills, Freeman, and Dere Angolambale. So, yeah. That was great for the Texans. Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs had 10 carries, 52 yards, and 1 touchdown. For the Texans, Amari Rodgers had 2 receptions, 26 yards. Jordan Akins had 3 receptions, 22 yards, 1 touchdown. Burkhead had 2 receptions, 17 yards. For the Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster had 10 receptions, 88 yards. Jerick McKinnon had 8 receptions, 70 yards, and 1 touchdown. So Jerick McKinnon had a great day. He had 70 yards on receiving, 52 rushing yards, and had 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. So great day for McKinnon. Noah Gray had 3 receptions and 31 yards. Now fumbles. The Texans recovered 2 fumbles in this one. Jake Hansen recovered a fumble, and Desmond King recovered a fumble. And Davis Mills also lost a fumble. So Texans did lose a fumble of Mills in overtime, but they recovered 2 fumbles in this game. So, yeah, I was very impressed with that. Texans tackles, they had, how many sacks? We only had 2 sacks today. It felt like way more. Christian Harris led the team in tackles with 14. Had 3 tackles for loss. What a game for Christian Harris. He had one of his best games of his career. The Texans had 7 tackles for loss in this one. Petrie had 13 tackles. Kirksey had 11 tackles. He had 1 tackle for loss and a sack. Tremont Smith had 11 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. MJ Stewart had 9. Jonathan Owens had 7. Malik Collins had 5 tackles and an unbelievable tackle for loss. I felt like they called a split sack, but they didn't. Blake Cashman had 2 tackles and a sack. Good sack by Blake Cashman. And then I think that was it for tackles for loss. Harris had 3. Kirksey had 1. Tremont Smith had 1. Malik Collins had 1, and Blake Cashman had 1. No interceptions in this ballgame for either teams. Texans had no kick returns. They had two punt returns. Desmond King, 2 punt returns in 16 yards, and Tremont Smith had 1 for 7. So, yeah. And also, Butker missed 1 field goal and an extra point, which is why this one went to overtime. It would have been a way different game if they would have made their extra points, but their extra point and their field goal. But great job by the Texans in regulation. Overtime is a different story. It was a hard hit by the Chiefs to get the ball back, but I just still very disappointing. Let me know what you guys think about the Texans, the game for today, and peace out. Go Texans.